Hello. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're having a good morning, good afternoon, whatever time you may listen or be listening to this. I'm your host, Raymond. I want to welcome to another episode of Additional Prayers. Just like always, to go behind the podcast to help others understand that they're not alone and also to unify every day with everyday prayer life. The reason behind this episode is small circles shouldn't be a period in our lives. The title is I Remember When I Admitted That I Was a Grown Man. Um, the verses will be coming from Joshua 23, verse 3 and 4, and also Joshua 24, verse 14 through 17. Some bonus notes we're going to have is talking about stretch marks, some self treatment of stretch marks, some common causes of stretch marks, and the location and some of the characteristics of stretch marks. Um, Another bonus note we'll be talking about is the saying, the proof is in the pudding. Um, and surprisingly, we're only going to find one word this time in the regular notes, and the word is maturity. So to give you something to think about while listening to this, um, the idea of this one came from me sitting around and thinking about how much life has changed in the last couple months, the last couple years. Some simply is how much life changes within 24 hours. Um, to many people that are return listeners that listen to this on the podcast, or return viewers that watch this on YouTube, um, that someone let, if you are watching this, if you can see from the background, I'm in my basement. And when I first started doing my original podcast, um, Passion Over Profit, it was actually filmed. Most of them was filmed in my pickup truck, and I actually started out on Facebook. So went from doing simple things on Facebook, filming in a pickup truck, to my house, to filming in my actual basement. Um, but with all that said, I still have the same equipment. Only thing additional I have now versus then, I have a ring light. Um, so that gives you an idea that you don't need something big and grand to get the point across to anybody that might want to be trying to start a podcast or have a YouTube channel. Um, it also gives you an idea that simple things still get the job done. Um, like I said, the reasoning is small circles should not be a period in our lives. Um, I know a lot of people use the term that they cut a lot of people off, they keep their circle small. That's good in a way, I think, and it's also bad in a way. Um, for me, the way my opinion on the idea of cutting people off, sometimes you do have to get away from certain individuals to focus more on yourself, and it also can be bad because you can actually isolate yourself so far from others, and when you do need someone to lean on, there's no one there. Um, and that's not speaking in terms of burning bridges, but understanding that we all face problems, and just like before, and the goal behind the podcast is to help others understand that they're not alone, and to unify every day with everyday prayer life. If you put yourself in such an isolated situation, you're going to be or going to be or feel or have the mindset of being alone, and it can be a bad thing. Um, and you shouldn't have it stop your future growth. So Once again, the title, like I said, is I Remember When I Admitted That I Was a Grown Man. Um, in this age, everybody looks at the calendar and the birth certificate and they say, hey, I'm adult. To me, being adult mean you're taking on adult type responsibilities. Regardless of the calendar, regardless of the birth certificate, if you're immature and you don't look at life like in a mature way, meaning from my opinion, is trying to, like I said, grow and move forward. Um, to get into this, stretch marks. Stretch marks is some self treatments to that. Is to give you an idea. Many products promise to be able to get rid of, but most of them fall short. It's just that way of life. If you get stretch marks, you know, and you're just gonna be have them. There's very few remedies you can do to actually get rid of them. So embrace that. Um, but with that said, stretch marks do fade and become less noticeable over time, but they do not disappear. Like I said, you just gotta it's just become accustomed to it. Um, Usually appear in the skin and rapid with from rapid growth, rapid weight gain, and rapid weight changes. Um, for me, I got a lot of stretch marks on my shoulders and everything because I used to be in the military. I used to work out 6 days a week, and I used to do about 2 to 300 push-ups a day. So, um, some of the common causes is for women is pregnancy, weight gain, and for teenagers, growth spurts. Um, and some people have this effect if they take certain medications, they have a possibility of having weight gain. Uh, and if, like I said, when I used to do 2 to 300 push-ups a day and work out 6 days a week, your muscle mass from weightlifting, if you gain a lot of muscle mass, you can develop stretch marks. That's some of the common causes. Some of the common locations and some of the common noticeable changes is one of the things is your skin stretches after weight has changed rapidly. So that's basically what it is. Your skin has not got to the point where it adjusts as your habits of your body changes. Like I said, women women who have children, women who have childbirth, like I said, they can get stretch marks in their abdomen, the abs or whatever, the core. Um, Typically, your abdomen and thighs for females, their stomach, their core, and their thighs develop stretch marks. So, all right. Another thing is second bonus note is the common phrase the proof is in the pudding. The proof is in the pudding is expression that means the value, the quality, or the truth of something. Um, I know often in my generation we use that term. The proof is in the pudding. It must be judged based on direct expression. Based on something that you could grasp a hold of that you're expressing through that. Um, it's also known as something that is testing the worth of something. Just like someone's trying to do a job, and it's just like their resume. The proof is in the pudding. Regardless of what's on the paper, if you can't prove what you're saying, you're not really backing it up. Um, it is used in the contents of offering evidence of something. So once again, just like I said, like somebody's resume, um, it is you putting something to the test by trying or using it. Just like my pen right here, big pen. You can say it's the best pen ever, but until you actually click it and write something, you never know. So that's putting it to the test or trying or using it. Um, it's this establishment of a fact. Once again, it's like pen or this highlighter until you actually use it. You can say this highlighter lasts you for 5 months. Until you actually try to use it for 5 months, you won't really know. Um, and on to our actual definition of note, we're going to have this one. Maturity. Maturity is defined as fully developed, having a fixed term, wisdom, man slash womanhood, or capability. The first set of verses that we'll be coming from is going to be Joshua 23, verse um, 3 and 4. And it reads, "Any have seen, and ye have seen all that the Lord your God has done unto all these nations because of you, for the Lord your God is he that has fought for you." Verse 4 reads, "Behold, I have divided unto you by the lots these nations that remain to be inheritance for your tribes from Jordan to all the nations that I have cut off, even unto the great sea westward." Um, to give you an idea of what's going on with these first couple verses in the book of Joshua, the people have come from a long way, and he's telling them to remember how far you came, what you've been through, and what you have witnessed. And that goes back with this week's one word, one note, maturity. They've been they gained wisdom. They got capability now versus what they've been through. Try to break these verses down. Verse 3 is, once again, it reads, "And ye have seen all that the Lord your God has done unto all these nations because of you, for the land your God is he that hath fought for you." Once again, they've been through a lot, seen a lot. He's bringing stuff to their memory, let them know that what they got, look forward to if they can be able to, continue going on. Let them know that God has been with them the whole time. Verse 4, like I said, "Behold, I have divided unto you by the lots of these nations that remain to be an inheritance for your tribes from Jordan with all the nations that I have cut off, even unto the great sea westward." So he's letting them know this is all it is. It's just a reminder. It's building up. It's a reminder the maturity, how they should mature in the situation they've been through. They're fully developed from what they was accustomed to. They've grown into something. He's letting them know that it's for the future. That's what it says. Inheritance for your tribes. It's something that is going to be around for a good while. And he let them know that they came a good path. It says from Jordan with all nations that I have cut off. He's like, hey, I've separated you from the common and put you somewhere that you can be productive. Next set of verses come from Joshua as well. This one is Joshua 24, verse 14 through 17. It reads, "Now therefore fear the Lord and serve him in sincerity and in truth, and put away the gods which your fathers serve on the side of the flood." It says, "And in Egypt, and serve ye the Lord." Verse 15 reads, And if it seems evil unto you to serve the Lord, choose you this day whom you will serve, whether the gods which your fathers served that were on this side of the flood, or the gods on as the gods of the floods, and so or the gods of the Amorites in the land ye dwell. But for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. Verse 16 reads, and the people answered and said, God forbid that we should forsake the Lord to serve other gods. And 17 reads, for the Lord our God is God, He it is that brought us up and our fathers out of the land of Egypt from the house of bondage, and which did those great signs of our sight, and preserve us in all the ways wherein we went, and among all the people through whom we passed. I know there's a lot to read. Try to break these down. Verse 14 is these next set of verses 14 through 17 of Joshua 24. That's why I read Joshua 23 first. And 24, he's telling A, keep going, keep going. Remember what you've been through, keep going. That's in 23. And then get to 24, and he's like, hey, we've been through some stuff once again. But this is where the rubber meets the road. This is where I keep going back to maturity. That's why I only got one word defining this one. Maturity, like I said again, is defined as full development, having a fixed term, wisdom, man/womanhood, or capability. He's telling me, hey, y'all should have been going, you had plenty of opportunity to do better, didn't do better. You know what I'm saying? And 14, like I said, to try to break it down to Joshua 24, it says, now, therefore, fear the Lord and serve him in the sincerity and in truth. He's basically saying, hey, this is it. Y'all talking mean talk. It's time to put it out there. It says, and put away the gods which of your fathers served on the other side of the flood and in Egypt, and serve ye the Lord. He's saying, put that childish stuff behind you. When he said, put away your gods, it's a little g. That's a personal, worldly thing. Put away that worldly, personal stuff, and don't just because isn't your father, everybody before me done it. Hey, this is where you can start anew. Verse 15 it says, and if it seems evil unto you to serve the Lord, choose you this day whom ye will serve, whether the gods which your fathers served that were on this side of the flood, or the gods of the flood, or the gods of the Amorites, and whose land ye dwell. But for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. Now, this is basically, once again, he putting it blunt to him. It says, if it seems kind of difficult for you to do this, then you're not fully dedicated to it. Basically, what he's saying in the latter part, the beginning of it, he say, hey, you can choose. You want to keep following your old way, following your parents, and going down the wrong path. Because they was on that side of the other side of the flood, meaning the stuff we started out with. And he said, or the people in the middle of the problems. Or you want to follow the Amorites, the one that went against us. Or do you want to follow the ones in the land? You want to be stuck in that one in the land, your current position. Or he said, but hey, regardless of what y'all choose, he says, but for me me and my house, we will serve the Lord. With my foot's down, boom. It's not insane, it's in concrete. This is how it's going to be. Boom, straight and narrow, keep it on that path. And verse 16, it says, and the people answered and said, God forbid that we shall forsake the Lord to serve other gods. And this is them agreeing to what he just said. He put his foot down. He spoke for his whole house. And so they're actually agreeing with him, say, God forbid that we shall forsake the Lord. They said, we don't want to, we've seen the stuff that he done for us, and we don't want him to do stuff that go against him. So we, as for us, we going down this path that he's chosen for us. In verse 17, it says, for the Lord our God, he it is that brought us up and our fathers out of the land of Egypt. Say, from the house of bondage, in which did those the great signs of our sight, and preserved us in the way wherein we went, and among all the people through him we passed. And this is them basically saying the reason why they're not going to go against God, because they're not going to go against God because he brought us from the bondage. He brought us out of the bad place. He been with us. He put all this stuff in front of us. We witnessed all this. It says, which these great signs in our sight, they were all the stuff that witnessed. And it says right here, and preserved us in a way and wherein we went. And this is saying through all, he brought us from one position. We got to witness some things. He kept us safe through the journey. And he says, and among all the people through whom we passed, through all the enemies, he's been with them. So they collectively said, hey, we're going the way that we need to go, wherever God puts in front of us. Now, I said all that to say this. I remember when I admitted that I was a grown man, it's the title, is that we all got to reach that level of maturity. We all got to reach that level of understanding in our lives, because that's what we kept bringing up and talking about their fathers. You know, you can't go off what somebody else says. You got to know that you're mature enough to handle situations. You got to know that you've grown enough. You got to know that you're learning enough to continue going, to want to learn more. You're never going to learn it all, but you got to mature yourself and get your mindset right to be learning. And that's a sign of maturity, because you're trying to gain wisdom. You're trying to get man/womanhood. You're trying to do more. That's proof that you're a sign of maturity. You know, like I said, these small circles shouldn't be appearing in life. Now the small circle of their fathers of in the old side of the flood, the old ways and the old enemies did not stop them. It was not appearing in their life. They continue going and growing from there. You know, that's a prime example of that. And I put those notes. I know people's like, why you talk about stretch marks? If the stretch marks, like I said, is their situations. They're never gonna go away, but they're gonna fade over time. The stressful part's gonna fade over time. They're gonna be less noticeable. They're gonna have them, but it'll be less noticeable. You know, with the common causes, they had, you know, growth spurts, side effects, or increased muscle by weight gain. Because of all the stuff they've been through, they gain metaphorically stretch marks in their lives. Like I said, the locations, you know, when a woman gives childbirth, they have it on their abdomen or their thighs or whatever. And like I said, it comes from your weight has changed rapidly. You know, they boom, as you're growing, you're maturing, you're going through stuff, you're adding to, not taking away from situations. And then with the proof is in the pudding. Now he told what he's gonna do. He said, "As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord." You know, he's like, hey, he kept talking to them and trying to see where their proof was at. You know, and they spoke in 16 and 17 verses of Joshua 24. They spoke. They said, "God forbid that we should forsake the Lord to serve other gods." You know, and then they started talking about in verse 17 the stuff they've been through. You know, bringing out of the land of Egypt, the house of bondage, which they get seen the signs of, the signs of the sight. He preserved us, among the people we had passed. That they be proof in the pudding. And God proved it to them, and then they got to prove to God that they're loyal to Him. So I know it's kind of scattered, but I hope it helped you like it helped me when I was studying this. So it's like always, from my house to yours. Thank you.